It's Joyful Christian Hermit. I'm sealing these stones. Not sure exactly how to do it. Maybe over here. I'm gonna talk. Oops, no, that's not good right there. There, could I put these right here? There's nowhere to put this. I'll stick it up like that, right there. Yes, I can. Just need to talk, I guess. I need to share. I'm in a bad mode. I woke up. I think I'm not getting sleep. Very sleepless. And it's part of the septic shock syndrome. You have sleeplessness. But then I lose all morning. And at night, I'm awake but not able to really function. I'm in bed. So, gotta just keep going. But it's, I don't know if it's just felt really down. Really down. Like the unworthy servant, the one that didn't utilize even the one talent that the master gave. And, I'm reminded, it's just sort of the story of my existence. I was given so much by God, and I've had sicknesses. Even in high school, I would get sick. College, I would have something happen, and I would have to come home. What did I have? Pilonidal cyst. Needed surgery. That was it. Needed surgery at Christmas break. And when I was a sophomore, junior, and ended up having a terrible infection. Was in the hospital like 18 days then also. I suppose it was on the verge of sepsis, but they didn't do much about it then, or know much, back in 1971. So I had to drop out of college for a semester, which was good because God orchestrated all that, because I was in the wrong college. I definitely was. And that was the way that God used to get me away from what I shouldn't have been in the wrong place. And then I changed to the university so that I could go through summer school and graduate at the same time the next year in a field, a major that I didn't want, but it would please my dad, really. And I didn't really know what I wanted otherwise. There were many interests. I loved theology and different things, but I didn't, it had to be practical. It had to be something I could earn a living. My dad was paying for my college, and he was very practical, expected that. My mother would have gone for more and would have probably stood up for me. I think law school or something, I would have, but that wasn't, I didn't want to be in that kind of a cutthroat world. I wasn't drawn at all to battling it out with injustice and knowing how it could get, even be, among attorneys, the cheating and the competition and the ugliness, the world. So that's where, I took a theology class and loved it. I wanted to do something for God, but didn't know what. I knew that women ministers, I was Protestant at the time, weren't really heeded at all. And I think for valid reasons. I never felt that women were in a good role as ministers or priests. And in school administration, which I then ended up going into because I wasn't suited to be a classroom teacher. That was not my gift or my, where I belonged. And, too mystical. And so administration, at least I could be a little more creative or make some changes or improvements that way that would affect more people. But, you know, I was finishing my doctorate, and we even had like a seminar on dressing for success, especially for women, how to interview and I guess look the part, and these suits then came into the fore for women. Looked like a man's suit, except it was an A-line skirt below the knee, or just at the knee or below. Very, very discreet and all. Professional looking was the thing. And it was just sort of like, you know, why do we have to try to look like a man? Well, because women don't think that they can do it. You know, there's that perception that we have to try to imitate a man. So I ran into many women who were so, you know, putting on this masculine, hardcore, and I thought, you know, have a career where you can't even be yourself, you can't even be feminine. It was, some did, some broke away from that, sort of that, I guess the women themselves made the expectation, that competition with the man. That was in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, when I was going to be heading out into the administrative world. And then the divorce and the accident, or the accident, then the divorce, and my whole life changed and became one of constant suffering, physical suffering, and other types of suffering as well. Temporal, financial, emotional, psychological, mental, and physical, in all aspects, and somewhat spiritual. I was discovering Catholicism. God kept leading me to the Catholic Church, and that was a trial because of my family upbringing, and my parents were my main, I suppose, supporters, not financially, but they would have backed me up had I needed, and when I did need, they would, you know, make a loan or something like that. I had to get a car, and you know, I couldn't even get credit established for quite a while as a divorcee, despite having income and money at the time from the divorce. It was a different time period for divorced women then. Still more new as far as the effects, the societal effects, so, and business effects, etc. So it's just interesting. I know I've got to pull out of this. I'm had offered a tile for my daughter for a bathroom backsplash. It's so simple. But she had already contacted this tile man, and I realized I had butted in and, you know, probably guilted her about the money of it, you know, $700 or something that simple. And I was willing to do it because I thought, what a wonderful opportunity for me to do an act of generosity, another act of charity, which a hermit doesn't get to do often, you know. And we're usually doing spiritual works of mercy, prayer, and trying to uplift and remind people of God in subtle ways, just through our prayer, through our spiritual life, and being that cloud in the sky that's mostly unnoticed unless somebody happens to look up and dream a little bit. Dream and wonder, what else is there besides Earth, besides the temporal world? And that's where the hermit comes in, as a little reminder that there's something more. And I am too affected right now, you know, by memory, which are chains, terrible chains, and this feeling of being irrelevant. Even this video channel, I went into more of a personal mode with it and didn't, you know, do all the teaching, I suppose. Well, I was sick, and I had to start trying to get more done around here. out of feeling responsible. If something happens to me, I don't want to leave all this mess for the one daughter, and she's so busy, but how could she, I guess, just get a dumpster, but that seems not quite right. So not financially prudent thing to do, but, or I don't know, somehow morally, when there's things that maybe they could get somebody to come pick it up as a donation to some place, St. Vincent de Paul or something. I need to make instructions for all that. But this, and then this septic shock, it's the sleeplessness. I'm exhausted, and I don't get as much done, even with my spiritual life, it seems. Awake sleeplessness is really part of it, of the symptoms of post-septic syndrome. And I didn't have to look it up to know, but I did. I thought, what on earth, night after night. And then I sleep until 11, and by the time the dogs are out doing their toilet duties and fed, and me with an egg cooked or something, and dogs back out another time or two. It was 1:15. In correspondence, I have not much, but a little, and business things to do, bills to pay, and try to remember a couple people's birthdays and things like that. Something in the mail. It all takes time and thought. And I guess those are acts of charity too. But I do barely any, really. It's, I'm late, I'm exhausted, and it's getting to me a little bit, mentally, psychologically, and that's where the devil steps in. So the devil has stepped in. I texted the daughter. She'd already called this man to tile for her. And then I found out and butted in. I couldn't believe she would pay $700 for something so simple. And that I love to do that kind of stuff. And I do it well, probably as well as him, but I got to thinking, psychologically to her, it won't be professional. And this is her townhome, her home, and her investment. And she said, well, she had the money, but, I guess I honestly probably shamed her, because it's just beyond me to spend $700 for a couple hours of work. And I have this nice saw that's a big saw, not the saw I'm using for these stones, because these are, I don't want to mess up my nice saw with the grit and the grime from these stones that's put off when they're cut. This air stone, it's a product. It's not actual stone, but it has the grit and stuff as if you're cutting a stone, and certainly wears down a blade. My new blade lasted a day, so I'm now waiting for a new blade to come. It's supposed to be delivered today, and it's supposed to be good. It's supposed to be able to cut stone, so we'll see if it doesn't wear out so fast. But I guess I should have known by the price. But it had so many people buy it. I don't know maybe we can't trust those things on Amazon anymore, that how many reviews or how many people buy it and what the rating is. Maybe it's a rating for cutting tile one day only. But this is more than tile. This is thicker. This is harder to cut through. Or I don't know, just a different consistency. So, to take factor that into the whole thing. But I think it's just too much. I have felt pressure ever since this trade came up, but I can't even blame it on that totally. It's the septic shock. I didn't realize the ongoing effects of it and these infections that can just happen. And so I feel like I'm a ticking time bomb. And I get back to realizing, keep focused on God, keep focused on God. Surely Jesus and St. Joseph had time periods. I don't know. We don't know about their sicknesses and stuff. They didn't have antibiotics. They, because I'm a believer that, well, I mean, I wouldn't have believed it years ago, but I do now, that there are such things as victim souls of Jesus, that God calls some people to suffer. But I have come to learn firsthand from God and from locutions, and secondhand through other victim souls, reading their lives and their own writings, their diaries, that this is a real thing. And it's just hard at times to truly believe it, to have faith. Lord, increase my faith. Increase my belief. Help my unbelief. Because it's a hard thing to really, because the whole world's against, even, like this other hermit, she's just so confused about suffering, but she thinks she knows. She has some kind of suffering. She's definitely not a victim soul, that's for sure. She can work and travel and do all kinds of stuff, but is on disability for, I don't know what the cause is, but there's something that she's able to get disability. So it doesn't always have to be physical or pain or anything like that. It can be, or maybe she has pain, and maybe it doesn't have to be severe pain to get disability. Basically get a doctor, I suppose, to agree. And I don't dare distrust anyone's pain or suffering, because, suffering can be very real. So it's not my business and my place to judge or to even consider what people have. So I've got to get myself together and pick up my emotional pieces and my physical and my exhaustion, and get going again, living life, and in the spiritual realm as a victim soul of Jesus Christ, a suffering servant, and a lover of God, of Jesus, a spouse of Jesus, and take what comes. I have no idea what will be the trajectory of this septic shock, or I could get something and just get sick and die. That's how it is. And the toe is I'm still in terrible pain. My back is hurting. So God definitely is telling me, and I'm not sure about how to progress. I'll take a rubber mat to, she's going to play in this tournament. I better go. There's rarely a tournament in this area where I could go to watch her, and I'm her only relative, her mother. If it were any of my other kids, of course I'd be there watching. So I'm going to take this rubber Costco mat and stand on that, and then sit and stand. The bleachers are at least hard, but they're not wood, so the metal is going to be difficult to sit on. If it's too hard or if it's padded, it's just, this back is like, is so tricky. But I need to be doing the stonework, and I could do a little bit of it without the blade. I really need the blade, so I guess I'll try to find out if it's coming. If it's coming at 10 tonight, that's not going to do me much good, and I maybe need to go to Home Depot and get one. But see, I think in terms of energy now, my lack of energy. Doggies, that was just me doing these stones. That's just me doing the stones. It made a little noise. The stone made a little noise when I put it down. It sounded like somebody outside to you, I guess. So relax. But this is, this happens to hermits too, where God is stretching me in faith and in the unknown, accepting that it's okay not to know what's next and what to do, even except to keep doing and to keep loving and to keep trying and to keep, considering charity first, I think. So I will try to find out, maybe it's usually no rhyme or reason when they play, and then you wait around if they win, which I'm anticipating she might or could. And the last time I went, I don't know, I just was sort of there and watching, and I would cheer, but I'm not a real super demonstrative, like rah-rah. I would never have been a cheerleader type. I'm more, I guess, sedate or something, reserved in that sense. And but it got to her because she had people in her own facility, her own hometown and stuff. She had people in pickleball, sort of like golf. It's not one where you cheer for the other people to lose, but they were doing that. And it really hurt her. It hurt her. And she started to cry afterwards to me, and then other people noticed and came around. Then she, tightened up and got tough and, but she's, I explained to them, well, people were cheering against her. And that's just, not done in pickleball, and to think they would do it, and to her, she's their own home player, their home pro, the only one they have and probably the only one they will for a long time, because everybody moves to Florida because that's, where they've congregated for the most part, most of the pro players. And she could have, but her son was here in the divorce, and her son was here, and she made the right choice, the holy choice, to not uproot him at his age. He was just, I think, going to be a senior, and that way he's finished with high school, but he was in junior college and was going through a rough time with the divorce, and he was a very, very bright kid, he is, and so he wasn't in a high school. He couldn't be, he had to be homeschooled because he was so far advanced in some courses, but then not in a couple others, like composition or something. But he couldn't, like in third grade, be in with seventh graders for math. Maturity-wise, it wouldn't have been a good element for a child like that. Not, they're talking about things that he doesn't know about, and how he was picking up on stuff. It would be a disaster. There could be some behavioral issues then if he found out too soon about various topics and drugs and sex and being into girls and things like that. So she homeschooled, and he had wonderful opportunities. She really did a beautiful job of homeschooling, sacrificed her career, her life, and for her child, which was beautiful. And the only child she was going to have, she wanted more, but her husband had things done to himself without even telling her until later, after it was done. He didn't want more, but he didn't want to discuss it. She wasn't important to discuss it with. So that was hard, very hard. But it turned out for the best. He wasn't inclined to be a father. So he had a lot of issues himself. Very bright person, but personality-wise and things. So there's, I just marvel at her positive attitude. But then a friend of mine says, longtime friend, give yourself some grace at what you suffer and have been through. And I suppose I should. And this is the very thing that the devil does, that he works on. He works on us when we're tired, when we have health problems, when we have unexpected things happen, when we have some types of pressures, and feel overwhelmed, or we think we need to do something. And I would like to be done with all this now. I would love to be today just in bed reading, or on the lounge chair in the living room here, this recliner that I haven't even used. But I started this and also know that keeping physically active counteracts arachnoiditis. It helps keep it from progressing so rapidly. So there's a reason why I'm doing it. Plus, I enjoy doing it. And I think I enjoyed it more before there was any kind of that we should trade. So I think the trade's a good idea, but I guess I don't work that well under pressure to get stuff done. I was doing better, I think, when I could just had more of the attitude, if I never finish, it's okay, to just enjoy working on it, just enjoy working on it. Look at these babies here. They stay right with me all the time. We got all these sealed. Now it's probably time to head over to the pickleball place, and I guess I'll try to get my tennis shoes on. My toe's still very, very sore. Isn't it crazy? A little toe. See, now, what I'm trying to do to counteract this temptation to despair, I was getting very down. You see, there's the wood I've been painting, and I did do that act of charity with doing baseboards, and that's my trim boards over there too. But it's just a mess everywhere. I've got these doors to reshim because a handyman did them incorrectly. So I have to reshim this one and one in the kitchen, and that's been for a while. But I have to stop all this inside stuff, except like in the evening I did those painting of the boards for. But I have yard work to do. This is last few days of good weather, good enough to do the stonework also. So I have to get my priorities organized, and I praise God for having this to do then, because it keeps my mind off self. Except look, the devil's tempting me down into myself, into my woes, into the past, into the suffering, into the added pain. The added pain has thrown me off. Realizing that the septic shock is not a just one and done proposition. It's a gift that keeps on giving. This is, if God wanted to choose a suffering, this is a great one. He chose a great one for me. Septic shock, and then this, not all get the post-septic syndrome, but I did. I have it. So that's going to be an ongoing problem with pop-up infections. And so I have to just be very alert. So that's going to be a change, because I am so used to being out away from my body, not paying attention to my body, because I can get away from the pain that way. That was a major way I handled pain management, was by leaving my body, distracting away from it. So now, though, I have to be more aware, which is going to be more suffering just to do that, because I'm going to be aware of all my spine pain and leg pain and headache all the time, because I have to be on the alert. I have to be more in myself, in the body, aware of it. But that's good. See, the devil wants me to get into the negatives, and instead I'm going to praise God for this added suffering, because it's more to offer, and it's more going to lead me to unconditional love. I have been wanting to attain unconditional love. I've been praying and asking asking you guys even leave comments on what, how we can become more loving, how we can attain to unconditional love. And what is unconditional love? It's just all of that. Is it monetary? I decided no, that my love for my children is not based on inheritance money. That is for paying for people's services. That's what I decided, that, pay the ones that are doing the work of dealing with me before and after I'm dead, dealing with my business aspects as needed, and my health, helping me with health aspects. And because it's work and it's time out of their careers, and emotional. It's also an emotional drain, because if I can get like this, it's not as easy to deal with someone who's fighting despair, fighting the devil. So, or, headache is so bad that, I'm not good at making decisions right now. So it's not unconditional love, I don't think, is a monetary situation. That's sort of banal. So we'll see what happens, but I praise God to have more to offer, more to learn of suffering and love to suffer and suffer to love, and to take time out to look at the beauty of the earth, to consider my hermit life, to consider the holy narrow pathway. Praise God, praise God, praise God. Keep going, simply keep going, and charity above all. So off I'm going to go and cheer on, overtly cheer, which is like not my thing, but it would mean something to her, because I realized I should have been cheering when people were being negative. I should have been more overt. And so I'm going to break my little nature, my little self, and do that. Clap and call out, yay, so-and-so. And so here we go. On with this day. I have paper out here to make cards, and I haven't done that. I'm sending something to each grandchild. In college, there's 2 in college and 1 at home who had quite an adjustment without her sister at home with her this year. So sending $20 each for a little treat. What could they get with $20 anymore? To me, that's big money. I freed my daughter to go ahead and get her tiling done by this tile man. Even she has the money, evidently. But I realized I butted in with her plan and probably made her feel guilty to spend that money, but it will look, in her mind even, it will look more professional than for having mom do it, even though mine might look just as good or close to, but it's what the other person wants. See, I was stepping in. That's not charity. That's not charity then. I realized that was me trying to feel relevant. I'm feeling irrelevant. And I even got concerned, why my videos, I don't think, are very successful at all. But that just might be me, but that's me then. Die to self, die to self. Do what is going to enhance our own souls or someone else's. And I don't have to be relative, or relevant, don't have to be. Only God, just be only for God, all for God. And I got down reading again about Teresa of Avila and her decision when she was younger. I think she was my age when I became a hermit, but I keep leaching out into the world and having, practically doing the sideways splits with one leg and 1 foot in one and the other foot in the other. And it's not working well. So I may investigate, hiring, using the Hellock loan for that, just finishing this, unless I could get myself back to where I was, where I had my mind and heart and soul and spirit and body, for the most part, in the spiritual. And I was not pushing myself to finish this place. But the more responsibility and the more sick I become, I realize that is the prudent thing to do. So I'm going to reconsider, and if I could find someone who I can trust and who would be good and not cheat me. That's the big thing. Although, it's not for me that's the problem. It's to let other people sin like that. We're culpable then. If we knowingly allow other people to cheat and let them just do it, we are then sort of fanning the flames of their choosing to sin, even if they don't recognize it's a sin to do that, to take advantage of others. So there's my morning little chit-chat and dumping out pep talk to myself also at the same time. So very self-centered in that regard. But this is all part of the spiritual life and the temporal world, our battle constantly to die to the temporal, yet live in it. How to be with God, yet have to live in the world. So God bless you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. I plan to here. Yesterday it was a beautiful day also. We make it beautiful by the grace of God. By the grace of God. Love to you.